Alright, well, I have been lame and not really doing things for some of the days, so I probably won't be doing a total play-by-play since the last video, but I will give you the highlights still as to what I've been up to. I went to the theater and saw the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that was a pretty good movie. It was really slow, but still entertaining and intriguing enough to keep your interest for the full 2 hours and 40 minutes. I took a field trip with the school for my class to the Hampton Court Palace. That was where King Henry VIII was for part of his reign, and we ended up taking a boat ride on the River Thames to get there, and I was an idiot and didn't bring a jacket or coat or anything, so it was a little cold, but it was fine once we got there. A lot of old art and stuff and the architecture and things, but it wasn't as exciting as the Royal Pavilion was, just because it didn't have that same sort of grandiose that I liked about the Royal Pavilion in Brighton. But I'm going to be doing my essay most likely on the differences between King George IV and King Henry VIII as to who was a better showman. Later on in the week I ended up going to the Jubilee Market, which it turns out I had been to last time that I was here, but it was just some like souvenirs and things. I got a couple things, including a God Save the Queen shirt that has Freddie Mercury's face in Queen Elizabeth II's hair and crown and all that jazz. So that's a fun shirt, but it is too snug on me. Same day I went to the film museum, which was very disappointing because it was just an exhibit on 007. So it was cool that it was a bunch of like cars and stuff from the movie, but that was it. That was all that was in the museum. So that was a waste of some money to me, in my opinion. After that I continued on to the National Portrait Gallery, and that was kind of fun, but they didn't have the Stephen Fry picture still on display. The time had passed and they had other people up and things like that, but it was still alright. And then basically right next door is the just National Gallery that has other artwork and things, so I saw some Van Gogh paintings and Monet and stuff, but also one of the Monet paintings was on lend to another museum, so I didn't even get to see all that it had to usually offer. I don't know, it's been a little rough for me with certain things that would have been nice to see, but are basically not there at the moment. After the museums, I ended up going to see the play Noises Off at the Garrick Theater, and that was a lot more fun than when I saw it in high school because they drop F-bombs and things, so I was definitely enjoying myself there, and it was just a few hours, and then came home. That was about it. I've still been home more than I'd like to be, but it happens when everything costs money. A couple days later I ended up going to Chelsea because I wanted to go to a vintage sale that was going on, which was also very disappointing because it's all women's clothes or things that don't fit me or are too expensive, whatever. It's alright. And then moved on to go to Fat Fuck Vietnamese food. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I thought it was funny. I ended up getting the duck pho, and that was really tasty. Except I had one like little dollop of like sambal or something like really super spicy. But luckily I tried it early on, so it didn't ruin the whole thing. After that I went to the Chelsea Physics Garden, which was a bunch of plants that were for medicines and things like that. So that was fine, but not something I'd normally go to. So I don't know, it's all these things that I'm just going to because I thought they might be interesting, and then I'm not that interested in them. It's very hard to get excited about things when you have the internet, I think. Went on another field trip through the school to the Globe Theater, and we saw Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was updated and things, modernized, so it was fun and entertaining, even though I did not know what the hell was going on for most of it, because I've never read it. Overall, it was still entertaining and everything, so I'm glad I got to go to that. As I'm reading through all my notes as to what I've done so far, it's a lot of just class is okay, and a couple nights at the bar with friends, but not a whole lot of exciting stuff. A couple days after Chelsea, I ended up going to Greenwich. I wanted to see the Royal Observatory with the Prime Meridian line and everything. That was a little interesting, but I don't get as much out of like museums and stuff as I should, because I'm going to these day trips and oftentimes later in the day, so I'm trying to move quickly and get to seeing other things if I can. So after the Royal Observatory, I went to the Greenwich Market, but it was closing, so I mean I didn't get very much out of that either, but I haven't decided if I'm going to go back or not. Lastly, this past weekend, I ended up going to Southport on Sunday for seeing the comedian Alexei Sayle. He was kind of big in the 80s and everything, and they say that he's the inventor of alternative comedy. During the show, he would joke about that, because I assume that's what one of the reviews for his book said. And then I ended up getting some of his books that he was selling there, because he was doing a book signing afterwards and everything, so I got to meet him and got a selfie and everything. That was a lot of fun that night. And then I got an Airbnb in Southport, and then the next morning took trains all morning, went to class, came home and crashed. So that's been the past couple weeks. Not a whole lot to tell, just a lot of day trips when I can, and seeing a bunch of little things. It's also hard to know what to take pictures of at this point, because I've either seen it all as I'm walking back and forth every day, or it's something that I don't find super exciting and needs a picture taken of it. So I don't know, I'll probably get home and I always regret not taking pictures when I come home, so that'll be no different. Yay. But that's all for this video. See you next time.